Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today we're going to do a BT token guide for the month of February. So I waited a little bit longer to do my guide this month just because I really wanted to wait for the anniversary details to be revealed so I could properly talk about that BT character, which I assumed it was going to be a BT character, and it was, right? Now a couple of disclaimers just in general when choosing what to get with your BT tokens. One is you need to make sure it's a character that you either have fully built or you have the ability to pull their kit. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is if you're going to token a character who has a banner with their BT on it, you need to make sure you are completely done summoning on their banners before you buy it with tokens, right? The last thing you want to happen is to use 50 tokens on a BT and then randomly get it on like a free multi or something later on, or while you're pulling for another character. That's like the worst feeling in the world because you just wasted 50 BT tokens. So just be really, really careful about that. Now, normally what I do for this video is I'll talk about just the characters that are going to be kind of available that month or like close to that month. Because the idea is you need the kit, right? So why would I recommend the BT if you can't get the rest of the kit for the character? Now, sometimes I'll talk about like, yeah, there's some BTs that are really good if you happen to already have that character's kit. This month is a little bit different because part of what we're getting for the anniversary is we're getting a 50+1 summon, which will have basically any characters whose kits were released before January 26th. All their LDs and stuff are going to be on there, right? And you possibly could just randomly pull the BT as well. But let's say there's a random character like, say, Warrior of Light, right? Let's say you don't have anything built for Warrior of Light, but what's going to happen is there's this 50+1 summon, and then every day there's going to be a free multi on a banner that also has like every character's LD on it, right? So what if throughout the anniversary you accidentally or randomly just pull Warrior of Light LD? Well, all of a sudden his BT becomes an option for you with your tokens, right? So these are things to keep in mind that like almost any character could be on the table if you get lucky enough to pull their LD. Because really the LD is the key piece you need. It's the one that's like not tokenable very easily. Like you can get it with a token, but they're like very rarely put out in packs, and I think they're like $75 packs. Like they're not cheap. So the average player will not be achieving or getting LD tokens, right? I think they might give you one as a new player, but other than that, they're not tossing those out there. So really the gateway to building a character is the LD. Even if they have an FR BT, the LD is really realistically the most important part because many characters can operate fine without the BT and without the FR. So that's the other thing I'll kind of talk about with some of these characters is some of them, like, if you really like a character and you're going to use them a lot, yes, the BT is super important to have them operating their best, and you might want to do that just to have your character at their best, right? But there are plenty of characters where their BT is not essential to their kit, so those are maybe BTs you don't have to worry about, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the 3 new BTs that are coming out this month, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to legitimately go into the BT token shop, and we're just going to kind of look at everything in there, and I'll just tell you like what's kind of relevant. And the thing that we'll also have as a disclaimer is remember characters get reworked constantly. So in terms of like meta or tier list for like best BTs, that's constantly kind of a rotating thing. But I'll try to highlight the ones that are like the most meta relevant right now and that are going to be the best in the game right now. And some whose maybe characters are just about to get reworked maybe next month or later this month, things like that, right? So let's start with Dark Knight Cecil. He's coming out a little bit later in the month. He's a character overall that I would say I wouldn't really recommend the average player go for. He's not bad. He's a good character. It's just, you know, if you're talking about using your resources on a character that is going to last a long time and be more meta relevant, I would say Dark Knight Cecil doesn't really fall into top tier for me. He's a character with dark damage, launching, things like that. But mainly what we'll talk about is the BT. The thing to remember with BTs is what you're really looking at is the BT effect. And what you're going to notice is most characters, I would say probably about like 80% of the BT effects are just stats, is all that they are, right? Which is great. Like having BT auras up are really good. They make your team look good. But what I really am going to try to focus on are maybe BTs that have extra added effects that are a little bit more special. Those typically are the ones I would probably encourage a little bit more. The 3 new characters this month actually have a little bit added on to their BT that make them a lot better, right? And I would say for Dark Knight Cecil, if you are serious about him and you're going to build him, I do recommend you get his BT. Basically, his BT does some generic stats, but it does a really nice poison on the enemies, which really helps the damage output, which is like a really positive part about his kit that you're going to want. So I'd say if you're going to go in on Dark Knight Cecil, you do want his BT, but overall, it isn't one that I would recommend that people token. The other one we have is Ash. So Ash, she's like a fan favorite of mine. I talked about that. I'm going to pull for her because I like her. I wouldn't recommend the average player, because in my other video, I did like a pull planning video, right? So a good way to look at this is like, if I didn't really advise you to pull for the character, I probably wouldn't advise them to be top tier for your BT token. But I suppose the other thing I need to mention is this also depends on your box. There could be players out there that have like almost every BT, so it might just be like, yeah, I need to use my tokens. I'm just going to grab something I need. And there's definitely people that are going to be in that type of place, right? Now, if you're going to build Ash and you like Ash, I would say her BT is actually pretty dang important. And I'm going to green her BT personally. Her BT does add extra follow-up attacks. So anytime you get something like that, so like Dark Knight Celas has the poison, she's got the follow-up attacks. Anytime it does like a bonus effect that is going to heavily impact the damage, it's probably a good BT effect to have. It's not just stats. If Ash's BT was just stats, I probably wouldn't recommend grabbing it, or it wouldn't be necessary for her, right? But because it's adding follow-ups, it's kind of adding a mechanic. It is pretty important to get the BT if you're going to go for Ash. So just to reiterate, if you're going to build Dark Knight Cecil and Ash, or Ash, their BTs are definitely like a must for those characters, I feel like. But they're not characters I recommend people go in on heavy. So not necessarily someone you'd have to use your BT tokens on, right? So the next one is Penelope. Now, Penelope's already getting a little bit of controversy. I did a whole video on it, but I will just say this. Penelope is going to be a good character for a long time. And one of the things that you need to think about when choosing who you're going to token for your BT tokens is characters that you're going to use more or more worth it, right? Even if their BT was, say, just auras, if you're using the character a lot, it's probably worth it, right? It's like, you know, would I rather have one with just stats? Like Garnet's is pretty much just a stats one, right? But it's really impactful. So like, would I rather have Garnet's BT effect with all the stats, or would I rather have Dark Knight Cecil's HP damage, which is maybe a little bit cooler, the poison, but I'm not going to use Dark Knight Cecil very much? Whereas a support character like Garnet, you're going to be putting on a lot of teams, you're going to be using that BT effect a lot. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That being said, if you're going in on Penelope, which I do recommend people grab, I think she's going to be an excellent character for... The thing that makes her so good, she's a support character that is so ridiculously flexible on team building. You literally can put her with any team, and she's going to work very well. And her FR effect also works very, very well with a lot of characters, right? So this is a character that I see you getting a lot of longevity out of and a lot of use out of. So this is a character I would highly recommend the BT effect, and not even because of just that you're going to use her a lot. Not only is her BT effect pack some really good auras in it, but it's actually integral to making her herself output damage. It's basically like a Machina BT, where when she has her BT effect up, it changes her HP plus attack into a very ridiculously powerful attack. So I would say Penelope would be a top choice this month. One, because she's the anniversary character, and she's a very good anniversary character, and she's a character I think you're going to use a lot. So Penelope would be like one of my top picks this month. Just keep in mind, don't grab the BT with tokens until you're done pulling on her banners and you're positive you haven't gotten it, right? So, but when it's something like that, like Penelope and Machina are kind of in that same boat where it's so integral to their kit. I would say it's more important to Machina because Machina's main role is DPS, whereas Penelope, if you didn't have her BT and she doesn't have that HP plus attack, she's still going to be doing very good things, and she'll still support very well. But I would say you might as well, if you're going to go all in on Penelope, get that BT and green it. I think it's going to be a very good investment. She's going to be good for a long time, right? So those are kind of my assessment of the 3 characters this month that are brand new. That being said, there are a lot of really good choices for BT tokens this month. Once again, because pretty much any character can be on the table, depending on what you pull on these banners, right? So let me just hop into the exchange shop here, and you can see my tokens are ready to go. I'm at 45, but I've got a ton of stuff I can sell. I've got these Moogle tokens I haven't exchanged yet. That's 10 BT tokens chilling over there that I've got. So to be honest, I might be near 2 BT token pitties. Well, let's just hop in here. And I'm just going to try to quickly assess anybody that kind of stands out, right? I guess I will point out Warrior of Light because he is getting his FR rework next month. So if you want to like have his BT ready to go, sure, you could grab it. As of right now, his BT is just stats. I think it might get upgraded a little bit with his rework, but I'm pretty sure it's just stats. I don't know that Warrior of Light does anything crazy with his BT. The thing you have to be wary of, though, of going for a character like Warrior of Light is if he's a character you want to use and you're going to go for his FR, well, his BT is going to be on the banner with the FR, and you might actually pull it. So if you can save your tokens, what I'd recommend is if you're getting a character that's coming out soonish or that has a banner soonish, I wouldn't drop your tokens right away. I would wait till their banners are done, just to make sure you don't accidentally pull the BT after buying your tokens. The reason you'd want a token like right now, this is a lot of this is for like players that have tokens expiring. So the way that this works, and I got to be clear about this because I've confused people with this in the past, because people don't understand like why I record these guides and why it's important to like use your BT tokens. So BT tokens themselves do not expire. So I'll say that right up front. Because I confused somebody with that and they thought, what, my tokens run out? How do I know when they run out? Tokens themselves do not expire. But what happens is you're capped at 50, okay? Once you hit 50, any excess tokens you earn go to your inbox, and your inbox does expire. So if your tokens are in your inbox too long, then you could end up losing them. So a lot of times these guides are for players that, I mean, a lot of people like to spend them right when they get 50, so that it can be for you too, or like you just want to spend it and know who to grab, that's fine. But there are players out there that have like hordes of tokens sitting in their box, and they're going to expire soon if they don't start spending some, right? So that's kind of what it's for. So most of you, I think, are going to be in the position where maybe you just got to 50 or you're going to get to 50. You do not have to stress and like spend them like ASAP. Like as you earn more tokens, they are going to go to your inbox, right? So I would say if a character is going to have a banner coming up soon and you want them, I would maybe wait till you're done with the banner, right? But like a character like Minwoo is a really good example. I think Minwoo is a really nice BT you could pick up, and Minwoo is a very important BT to their kit. So Minwoo, I would say, is a really good example of a character that I think is a very good character, very good for FR era, trap-based character. The burst is very integral to his kit because it gives him double traps, which heavily impacts the damage, like way improves the damage. And he's a character whose banner isn't really anywhere in sight because he's fairly recently got him, right? So let's say you picked up Minwoo's LD his first time around, or maybe you just randomly pick up his LD on one of these anniversary banners. Minwoo BT would be a freaking excellent pickup. So he's one I would highly recommend. And that's the thing, guys. I don't think I'm going to be able to tell you, like, get just this one singular BT this month. I'm just gonna pull out ones that jump out at me and say they're really good pickups. And I think Minwoo is a very excellent pickup, right? Kind of going through here. I mean, okay, Cloud of Darkness, if you liked... I will point out Cloud of Darkness just because Cloud of Darkness BT is a follow-up BT, so it is impactful. It does give Cloud of Darkness follow-up attacks. That being said, there are like plenty of follow-up character options, but if you're a fan of Cloud of Darkness, you happen to pick this up, their BT is actually very important to their kit. Cloud of Darkness is a character I've referred to as like a full invest character if you're really going to go for them, right? Other BTs that stand out, like Paladin and Cecil, Kane, Gobez, they're just kind of generic, like nothing too crazy. Theodore, I think, is just another generic one. Not like a crazy, highly recommended character. Bartz is one where I would say he's another one that's like auras, but like auras are kind of Bartz's thing. So if you're using Bartz a lot, like you definitely, he's another character I refer to that like you really want to green him if you're going to use Bartz. But there are way better supports than Bartz right now, so I really wouldn't have Bartz on my radar. Greg, you don't really need Greg's BT. X-Death, nothing too crazy. Even Terra, like I'm a big fan of Terra, but she doesn't need it to operate. It's just stats. She'll look better with it, but like you don't, like if you're gonna go all in on Terra though, and you're gonna use her a lot, sure. I believe Terra is the first FR Echo character if we go by JP's timeline. So if you want to have it ready to go for that, you definitely can. But once again, if you're gonna be pulling for FR, her BT is gonna be there, and I think Terra's coming up next month. So Terra's gonna be right around the corner. Locke, his BT effect is actually pretty cool, but Locke isn't like super meta relevant right now, so I don't know that I could recommend him. Celas, I would say, is in a similar boat to Minwoo, where Celas is an excellent character. You've seen Celas in a lot of my very hard event clears. She's still a very excellent character. She does what she does well. I would say Minwoo and Celas are both like kind of top of the list right now for me. Celas's BT effect is very important for her kit and her FR as well. Basically makes the enemies only do magic damage, which helps her runic work better, and it's going to help her FR percentages better. So Minwoo and Celas right now I think are good picks. Kefka probably not. Tifa is another very high priority choice. If you happen to build Tifa, get her LD, she's still an offensive powerhouse. Her BT is very integral to her damage because it gives her double follow-ups, and it's really integral to making her be the DPS monster that she is. So if you're going to build Tifa, her burst is a must. So she's an excellent burst pickup with your tokens if you happen to, once again, if you happen to already have her kit or you run into her kit by accident, Tifa would be an excellent choice. Cloud, I don't know that I'd recommend. His is more just auras, but I will bring up Cloud because he is getting a rework this month. He's also going to be on the Start Dash banner. Like, Cloud's going to kind of be like in our face this month. Like, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to get Cloud. So I would say you probably don't need to grab the BT because there's going to be banners you can really go for that on. But if you like Cloud and you happen to get the BT, it's great. I just don't know that I'd recommend tokening him. Vincent's not super like in relevancy right now. We always need to talk about Sephiroth though. Sephiroth has one of the more unique BT effects in the game. So no matter where Sephiroth is in the meta, I always talk about him in terms of BT token guides because his BT is such a unique effect that a lot of characters can abuse. So here's what I'm going to say. If you really like doing the Edaroth cheese, or if you're a big fan of Dorgan, and I know there are some Dorgan fans out there, if you built Dorgan, you got to pick this boy up. I'm going to highly recommend this guy. If you use Dorgan and you got him built and you like him and you didn't understand how good Sephiroth was for him and didn't have him built, definitely picking up your boy Sephiroth's BT is the way to go. His BT effect basically makes it so that while it's up, the enemies will always reset their Brave to 1. So whether they're broken, whether they have Cat Brave, doesn't matter, they reset to 1. Which basically puts them in prime mode to be broken every single attack that you do, which makes Dorgan busted, because Dorgan follows up anytime you break. It makes him counter like an insane amount. The big Dorgan players are always running him with Sephiroth. So Sephiroth, I would say, like, if you're just talking about overall scope of the game right now, he's not like the crazy meta relevant, but if you specifically want to run a Dorgan team comp, I think Sephiroth is a must, okay? Zach, I think, is just like stats. He's a good character. Squall isn't really there right now, but Squall, when he gets his FR, is going to be looking really good, but once again, you're going to have a chance to pull his BT at that time. I would say let's put Renault out there. Renault, so like Renault, Tifa, Celas, Minwoo, these are kind of like top of the meta characters right now, and they are all very important BT effects. Renault's BT effect gives her Ultima Angel Wing, which is so important to her doing damage. So yes, Renault, Tifa, they're very top of the list this month still because they're very meta relevant. They're very good characters. Once again, Minwoo, Celas are going to be right there with them. Laguna is getting a banner, so if you're going to grab Laguna, you want to make sure that you've pulled and you're not going to pull on the banner anymore. If you like Laguna, his BT is actually a very good one, very unique one. It gives him the gold trap debuff, which gives him like a lot of insane damage with that, and then some very good auras as well. So yes, the BT is very important for Laguna if you want to get that gold trap, which I definitely recommend you all do, because that's why you run Laguna. Ultimisia, Zidane. I mean, the BT for Zidane is very good, because it gives him the like steel elixir thing, which like mega heals you, which is really cool. Zidane's not really super meta relevant right now, so probably wouldn't recommend him. Garnet, as crazy as it is, I could still recommend Garnet's BT, because she's still that good. And once again, I think we're going to see this with Penelope. Being a busted anniversary character and being a support character, she's going to last a really long time. And Garnet is still used to this day, like still good, right? And I do believe, actually, I think Garnet's getting her FR next month. So Garnet's just going to keep coming back. To me, Garnet's never really fallen off. Like, you could basically, since last year, for an entire calendar year, Garnet has been usable. Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy how much longevity this girl's had. So yeah, her BT, if you're going to use Garnet a lot, like, definitely her BT is a good pickup. Tidus is another one. I would say he's in that DPS range where we're talking about like Tifa, Renault, and then Machina. They're all in that same thing where, like, if you're going to use them, their BTs are super important to their damage output. Tidus has a shot follow-up attack, and his BT effect makes it so he does it twice. Tidus now actually could be, and I actually forgot to bring him up. So when we went through the community stream slide, there was some question mark BTFR stuff on there. And I said, I'm thinking probably Renault and Arden. But I forgot to mention, JP did do a campaign banner with Tidus and Gabranth. So I think we need to throw them into the ring for the question mark characters. And I believe Tidus and Gabranth came out with Dimensions End Transcendence 13. And I believe that's where some of the question marks were. So I might have to go back on what I said. I think Tidus and Gabranth maybe could be in those question mark spots. So you might have to keep your eye on this one. But Tidus, if you're gonna build him, his BT is super important to him looking good, right? Yuna, she's more of a support character. Her BT is solid, but and Yuna did recently get, you know, an upgrade. So sure, if you're gonna build Yuna, I think hers is a solid pickup. Any of these other ones standing out to me? I mean, Cam's BT is very important to his, how he operates. It basically allows you to paralyze every time you attack the enemy. So his BT effect is very important. If you want to do that shutdown mechanic and have the enemies constantly paralyzed, you definitely want his BT. Cam definitely has fallen off since, you know, and a lot of ad bosses now are like disabling launching, which is part of what makes his FR good. But if you just like Cam and like using him normally and not using his main FR, and you just want a character that's going to shut down paralyze, his BT is good for that, right? I will throw out a Roja. Now, we just got her BT. But her BT, if you're someone that's going to use a Roja a lot as your main support character, her BT is super good because it heavily impacts like HP damage up on your party. And HP damage up is like one of the biggest modifiers for increasing your damage. So her BT effect is actually really good. Yeah, I was super excited when I pulled her BT on tickets, by the way. So Roja, I would recommend only if you like her and are planning to use her, though. There are better supports than Roja. Other characters you're going to be using more often. And once again, ultimately, what your choice should be based on is what character are you going to use the most. Then you're going to get the most bang for your buck with that BT token, right? Vaughn, once again, he's another one of these damage-dealing characters. His BT isn't quite as important as, say, like Tifa Renault, because it's not like giving him his big damaging attack. But the BT does give you that Brave floor, which helps his Brave stay very heavy. And it does increase his damage. But I would say it's not quite as important as for some of the other DPS characters. But if you're going to build Vaughn, yeah, definitely grab that sucker, right? Snow, if you like doing Snow Overflow. And I believe Snow is coming back this month, so wait till his banner's done before you grab it. But yeah, if you like, basically his BT is really about Brave gains. He does a lot to help the party with Brave gains. And it makes your Brave cap go up and your Brave gains go up like crazy. So if you really like that type of setup, in the Snow Overflow stuff, you can do that. If you want to know what Snow Overflow means, watch my character guide on Snow. I actually explain the process of Snow Overflow and how it works. And his BT is a big part of making that work. So if you watch my video and you want to do that with Snow, definitely take a look at that, right? Reigns, I mean, okay, so Reigns would be in that, he would be in the Machina Tifa Renault camp, right? Big time DPS character, needs the BT to get his mega crazy follow-up in the air. So once again, this is heavily impacting his kit because it gives him a more powerful attack. So if you're going to do range, you definitely want the BT there, right? Luna Freya, so I talk about this with Luna Freya a lot. Her BT isn't super important to her kit, but it does make her better. So what makes her busted is her quick prayer, heavy prayer, and her BT actually gives those buffs an extra turn. So it is very good, but it's not like super necessary. That being said, I know a lot of you just picked up Luna Freya, and if you didn't get the full kit, this is a character you're going to be using a lot. So just based on the fact that it has good auras with it, you're adding turns onto your buffs, it's very much a good pickup because you're going to get a lot of use out of it, right? So even though, like, say, Machina's is way more impactful for his kit, you could almost take Luna Freya over that if you're going to use Luna, because Luna Freya you could put in like every single team comp. I'd shove her in all the places, right? So once again, the value of that, I'm going to use this BT more, it gives it more value, even though the BT effect isn't as integral to her kit, right? So yeah, Luna Freya, obviously a good pickup. Machina, I've already brought him up several times. Just like Tifa Renault, you need it for him to be his best, and if he's going to be your primary DPS, definitely pick that up. Kira and Charlotta, they're kind of like, Charlotta's just helping her Brave gains her auras, and Kieran is just helping his auras, right? So, like, if you're using them as primary supports, you want it, but not, like, super necessary. And then, yeah, Jack Garland. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to use Jack Garland, a lot of you already picked up his BT. But yeah, he's one of the top tier DPSs right now, so you definitely want to pick up that BT effect if you can get it. Because it's going to heavily increase his damage. It puts up some good auras. Very, very good BT effect there, right? So in general, once again, I can't just like recommend one, but I would say if you're looking at the 3 new characters this month, Penelope is my highest recommendation. And then other than that, my highest recommendation are going to be like the current meta characters. So we're talking about like Garland, Tifa, Renault, Machina, like those are like your main DPSs right now. We're looking at things like Celas and Minwoo. I think those are good pickups, and then like Luna Freya. So like stuff kind of in that realm. Those are going to be my highest recommendations for the month. Obviously, your box is going to dictate what you pull. Maybe you've already got all the top tier meta stuff, so then it's maybe like, yeah, I never picked up Kieran. I kind of like Kieran. I might go snag that BT. Go for it, right? So anyways, guys, I hope this helps. Let me know if you have tokens and if you're going to use them this month, who you're going to use them on. I'll tell you, for me personally, my tokens this month, they're either going to go to Penelope or Ash. It's going to depend on what I decide to do in my pull strategy, right? But we'll see that moving forward. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch you all on the next one.